Now then, I tell you what, let's just have a little bit of an update on what's been going on whilst I put the first layer of white slip on the inside of these mugs. That will shrink some more, yeah, because they're not fully dry yet, and then they'll shrink again in the kiln. So this is 50% Brighton white clay, 50% of my own mixed clay, which is the stuff that I've used and has gone in the bucket, so there's a bit of home and a bit of Thetford in here, yeah. And also I've added to it 10% of this very fine sand as temper or grog, hopefully to reduce its shrinkage, yeah. And then I'm hoping that the glaze will fit better. Okay, so that's that. So we've got some white slip here that I made from white clay. I'm just going to give it the first coat. I want to put this on before these pots become totally dry. That way it'll go on smoother. Hello, what's that there? That's a bit of clay, yeah. So we'll get on with this. Now then, what else has been happening? Well, quite a lot. If you've been keeping up with the video shorts, you'll know that I've had to republish Wind and Solar 4. So I've had to self-publish it because, now I don't want to sound bitter about this, yeah, but I was dumped in at the deep end. Lily closed, shut down, and they gave me no notice. Luckily I had enough books for the Boston Solar course, because we're talking where are we? I think I got to know the end of April, and the Boston Solar course started mid-May, yeah. But there's other chaos as well. The Wind and Solar file on the Lightning Source website had been corrupted, and I didn't know this, for all of 2024. So in other words, no books were sold, but nobody took a blind bit of notice. And of course I don't get to know until way after the fact. So it was just generally rather a stressful time. So we've got, as you notice from the video short, we've got Wind and Solar 4 now republished, and it's got no lowimpact.org references to it, nothing on the cover or anything like that. Still got the same ISBN number, and Bimble Solar are stocking it, which is great. And I think I went down to Brighton. Now we're on I think it's a Wednesday today. It's Wednesday. So just over a week ago on a Friday, yeah, I went down to Brighton, and things were that tight with the printers and everything. They'd promised me at the start of the week before, and it never happened. So I actually collected books on the Friday afternoon from Cranley. Is it Cranley? Or something like that. Anyway, it's just off the M23. ready for the course, and also so that I could carry on to Lewes, which is just the other side of Brighton, and deliver some books to Bimble Solar. It's all been pre-arranged, but it was getting mighty tight on the deadlines. Anyway, Bimble have sold 5 copies in a week, which is great. Yeah, so if you want a copy of that book, go to Bimble Solar. Yeah, I think it's under categories. It's not that easy to find, but there are several other books there. So it's been sort of rather difficult all year with this sort of thing. Anyway, as you see, we're getting on with this. And I'm also getting on with that that ditch. Well, it's not a ditch, it's a trench really. I'm creating a trench for a spillway because the weather patterns seem to be changing around here, and we got an enormous amount of wet, like monsoon wet this winter, so we need a spillway just to take surplus water away from the front garden. That will do that one. Just a bit more there, and that's quite a lot of digging. I got my neighbour to bring his little mini digger along, but it couldn't, it was a bit tight, and he could do some of it, but he couldn't get as deep as I needed, so I've had to do it by hand, which you need to take a Zen approach to that, because we're going down 28 inches and it's thick heavy clay, but we're getting there. So a little bit every day, or maybe a bit in the morning and a bit in the afternoon, and it just potters along. So hopefully within the next 2 days, depending on how I feel and all those sorts of things, at least the trench will be complete. Then I've got to put the pipe work in, break into a system, put the pipe work in, create a manhole on a 90-degree bend. I shall just build one out of brick. I've got several bags of premium cement in the plastic, so that keeps really well, and I've got some sand, so we shall just use those materials. And then there'll be a lot of backfilling, and of course I'll want to put pea shingle or fine gravel around the pipes. But Brighton was great. Yeah, I mean, I was a bit, what can you say, a bit wound up to start with because of all this book nonsense, and honestly, I don't know, it makes you think what on earth's going on. Anyway, so that, but the 2 courses, we did the solar one on the Saturday, which was great. Yeah, and of course every course that I do, especially on the solar, it's slightly different because it's responding to how the students, attendees, whatever you want to call them, respond to the information. It's a 2-way process. And then of course we did the self-reliance, Fran Pickering and myself, we did the self-reliance on the Sunday, which is a new course, and I think that went really quite alright. Yeah, it was, and it was in, oh, where was it now? the Old Boat Community Centre at Hollingworth, and it's not a bad site. It was all right. There's a cafe there and a sports hole, so it was a bit noisy at times, and getting on the Sunday it was fine, but on the Saturday getting all the solar equipment through, we actually had to go through the calf, and that was all right because there was nobody there at 9 o'clock in the morning. But it's a bit of a trot carrying batteries, inverters, boxes and boxes of gear, and then 4 medium-sized solar panels. But do you know what? It was I think the Friday was sort of overcast all day, and then the Saturday for the solar we had sun, so we were able to run the battery system and show that it's charging and what the charge controller is doing. And then in the afternoon we were able to get the 4 panels in series attached to a grid inverter and get that working. And and then of course the Sunday was grey again. So was that an omen or what? But it was pretty good to get sun, because the Boston Solar, I mean, all right, it's evening classes, but you'd think, where were we? Mid-May to early June. That's right. So the longish evenings, and you'd think it'd be fine. But the first 3 Tuesday evenings, it was raining. It's like, no. So one of my sons, Solomon, he teaches, and he went, and I think I was probably moaning to him about it a bit, going, not rain again, because you can't do any demonstrations. And he went, you've just got to do a workaround, which is great. It just brings it all back. So I did a series of little videos of showing like what happens when a grid inverter starts up, and the settings on the Stecker Tarom charge controller and all those sorts of things. Anyway, so that's a bit of an update. On top of that, I've still got where are we? We're July. We're the 2nd week in July, I think, and I've still got a little bit of firewood to cut. But there's 4 bays of firewood that are complete, and the last one, it's got about, I don't know, maybe 4 cubic meters to do. I'd like to get it done, but it's probably one of those bays that won't get used until the year after. But it's nice to get it done, so you know that whatever happens, if we have a really bad winter, then things won't be too bad. We'll at least be able to keep warm and cook on wood and what have you. And we have, of course, we've got our own generation, and that Prius battery, now we've cut it down to 3 lots of 7 because of the slightly duff cells. It seems to be behaving itself quite nicely, and the pylon techs, and that both of those lots of batteries are in parallel with a 450 amp hour lead acid pack. It all seems to be quite smooth, but it's the middle of summer, and today it is quite warm out there. But we had rain a few days ago, but we're not getting flat batteries, which is marvellous. In fact, on the pylon techs there are, and we see here, we've got on the extras there are 4 indicators showing the state of charge, and we only ever go down to so that 3 are illuminated, so we're only using 25%, and we're using about 7 kilowatt hours in 24 hours on average, which is a reasonable amount, and that's fridge, freezer, lights, computers, electric kettle, you name it, those sorts of things. It seems to be fine. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Because 7 kilowatts is an average of 30 pence or 35 pence a kilowatt hour. Maybe it's 30 pence nowadays. Yeah, that's £2.10 per 24 hours or per day. It all adds up. Right, hopefully you've enjoyed this bit of a chat and a rant. I'm trying to get over the huge upset of low impact or closing down without telling me. That was the worst bit. I had no preparation time or anything. It was like bang. And then when I finally persuaded them to order some books, couldn't get any, because as we said, the file had been corrupted for quite a while and nobody taken any notice. Anyway, comments, discussion, tell me what you think about the Prius battery or the lithium iron phosphate, etc, etc, about the fact that I've added extra temper to these mugs so that they don't shrink as much, and maybe the glaze will fit better. Catch up with you soon.